Hi friends, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. On today's Sunday gear review, I want to talk about the GrayGuns flat trigger for the HK P30
Big Tech's Ordnance is my go-to source for accessories for all your defensive and competition firearms. They have great holsters with accessories for concealment and ship fast at great prices. I'm a proud customer and recommend them without hesitation.
So if you've been on the channel, if you pay attention, you know that I just picked up this LTT Elite P30 Lim made by Ernest Langdon and his incredible team with their proprietary red dot optic cut on it and an Ernest Langdon trigger job. He also offers in there a GrayGuns designed flat trigger, which he picks up from GrayGuns and installs for you. And I want to give you some thoughts on this. It's an interesting trigger choice. So I think the first thing that you'll notice about it is how far forward it is. You know, and you can see that when the gun is sitting in battery and ready to go, that's a safe direction that way. We're here at the 338 Club. Thanks to C2 for letting us use the space. That it sits very far forward, because what happens here is then I'm going to use my right hand, verify empty gun. Okay, cool. That when you then press and when the gun goes bang, the trigger is vertical. So all this is simply saying, oh, okay, that's just where it sits to reset. And of course, LEM trigger is a single action, double action trigger, not double action, single action, double action. So the gun will always run on single. So this is very light all the way to the wall. You get a defined wall in the P30. And once you get that drop, then click and no over travel whatsoever. Now here on a Langdon, when it resets right there. So you're going to shoot the gun basically with the trigger at its vertical position the whole time if you're shooting quickly. Now, this is a regular P30 trigger, and this is Theseus, my carry gun, right? So this guy's got about 39,000 rounds down the pipe. Last gun that Robar ever built before they unfortunately had to close. And what you'll notice here is this one drops down and then kind of comes in. So it's a shorter length of pull to the middle of the trigger for your hand. So the first thing that I would say here is that the GrayGuns flat trigger is not for people with short fingers, because it sits forward so much, your finger probably has to come farther out in order to get the right amount of purchase on it. Whereas if you have a little bit shorter, now this of course, I have size XL palms and size large fingers. So I have the XL back strap, the large side straps, and then it's been textured over by Robar. So what you can see here is that a person with a little smaller hands can get on this trigger pretty quickly, and you don't have to have the finger length that I do. You can see I've got some outside, finger here and plenty of space on this trigger. Whereas the GrayGuns here, yes, you get on there, but what I want you to see here at the beginning is you might, I hope you can see it, that you kind of get on the bottom part of your finger first, and then as you roll in, it kind of rolls to the middle of your finger pad. So the one interesting bit here, now I don't consider that a big deal, because what happens is you don't even feel that, right? You're only going to feel it when you find the wall. Now, if you're shooting quickly, you're just going to run all the way through that, right? Clearly, that's what you're going to do. But if you're trying to shoot a precise shot, you're going to come right to the wall and find it, and now you are sitting on the middle of the trigger. So as long as you've got enough finger to reach that, it's a little farther to get to it, totally good. It is that far out front though, so if you don't have long enough fingers, this is going to be a tough one for you, unless for some reason like you started messing with the pre-travel, which on a LEM trigger, I don't know if you can do. What I do love about it is now it's a 90-degree angle, so now I am pressing directly to the rear, and so you get this idea that says, oh, okay, the whole thing is there and at that lever, and there's no over travel on a LEM trigger, especially one tuned by Ernest Langdon. So then you get a reset here, and the whole thing is flat. And so you know, some people really like that feel. Now, of course, standard LEM trigger here, and again, this is my carry gun, so it's got lint and crap on it, is that, again, we get that same really good thing, right? So it does match the curve of my finger. That curved trigger does match the curve of my finger. And so I don't really feel it too much that it is kind of curved, and it curves back to the back of the trigger guard. So then when the trigger drops, same thing, almost no over travel. Reset here, this is a Lazy Wolf trigger on there, so the reset is something else. And again, it's holding my whole trigger finger kind of in the same beat. I do think at the end of the day, whether you like a flat trigger like this, it's just kind of dependent on whether you like a flat trigger. Some people do and some people don't. Now, of course, it's going to cost you about $100 to find out, because if you buy one of these guns, the option of the GrayGuns trigger costs you a few bucks. If you get this as part of this package, you buy, you know, one of the LTT Elite P30 LEMs from Ernest, it's $84 to have this trigger installed on the gun. I'm not sure how much GrayGuns is selling them for on their website, but you can expect probably about the same, about $85 for the piece itself. So is that worth it for you? I don't know, guys. You got to make the determination of that. Let me put a few rounds through it just so you can kind of see me do it. All right, I mean, just a few more rounds. I'm still testing this gun. I've only got 250 rounds through it or so in the amount of time that I've had it. Okay, running that a little bit. Don't blame the gun for the operator having some loose trigger discipline. Whew, man, the humidity right now in Phoenix is making my goggles, my glasses fog up a little bit. You know, I just think it's a feel issue. I just think if it's something that you're gonna like, depends on whether you like that feel of a flat trigger. I kind of like it. I think that on this gun, I'm glad to have it. But I don't mind the round trigger either. I'm so used to it. I have thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds. I've literally, through Theseus, put, I think right now at right about 39,000 rounds through Theseus. And so I'm so used to that is kind of where I am. And I'm still getting used to this new Langdon trigger, by the way. I mean, it's hard to argue with, man. It's hard to argue with. I really do like it. Back to Theseus real quick. I just want to kind of feel here. I mean, is it something that I'm going to say, hey man, you've got to have this or the gun is not nearly as good? Nah, I'm not. I don't think I can say that. Is it worth $85? If you like flat triggers, then I think that you're going to like this gun. I think you're going to like this flat trigger. I think it is definitely interesting. Of course, you know, comparing a gun that has a recoil spring assembly that has 200 rounds through it versus one with 39,000 rounds, I could feel a little difference in the recoil impulse. But that's not, you're not going to mess with the trigger on that, especially with the flat versus the other. I mean, so the flat face trigger, do I recommend it? I mean, if you like flat triggers, I think it's cool. Is it an end-all be-all? No, I think some people will think it looks cool and it looks tactical and all that stuff. So cool if you think it's that. If you like that feel of having the whole wall there and the whole thing is straight up and down, if that bothers you, cool. I think if you have long fingers, it moves that out a little bit, so it keeps your finger a little bit kind of longer, which if you have long fingers, probably is a good thing. If you have short fingers, I think that, you know, this guy comes back to a little bit farther back spot and probably is a better choice for you, but you make the determination. I'm just here to tell you what I think about stuff, not whether you should buy it necessarily, so this one's a big depends.